Now, I have to warn you that what we say in the next 30 minutes is a little bit like Marmite. Ian and I have done this session enough times in the last 2 years with enough people to know that it will leave a strong taste in the mouth. And some of you will love it, and some of you may not love it. And it always sparks a debate, and really that is our objective. Our objective is to spark a conversation. We hope that you love it, but if you don't, we still want to offer it out there as part of the conversation in the coaching world. So we are going to challenge you to challenge more, both in the service of your individual coachees, people like Hitesh and Leslie that you've heard from, but also in the service of your wider stakeholders in the NHS. So let us begin. I'd like to start by just getting to know you a little bit better and understand your coaching styles, your default coaching styles. And I just want to do a quick exercise with you and ask you to reflect on this continuum, which runs from what we would call supportive coaching behaviors on the left to challenging coaching behaviors on the right. And I'd just like you to think, when you first meet your coachee, so when you have that first coaching session, that first induction, where do you start on this spectrum? Because in our experience, we're all different. We all start at a different point. And I'd just like you to reflect for a moment and instinctively pick a number from that grid that you see there as to be your default coaching style. And then we'll just take a show of hands. So could I have a show of hands of people in the room whose default coaching style you would put in the range 0 to 2? So a handful, maybe 7 or 8 people there. How about people who would put themselves in the range 3 to 5? Yeah, so I think we're probably looking at least 60% of the audience there. 6 to 8, so maybe 20% there are more challenging coaches. Anybody in the range 9 to 10? Good, because if you're in that range, you probably know everything that we're going to talk to you about in the next 30 minutes, and you don't really need to be here. But in our experience, what you've just shared with us is very typical to what we experience when we do that exercise. And indeed, for Ian and I, when we did this exercise 3 years ago, we would put ourselves in that range 3 to 5. Now, I'm a PCC credentialed coach with the International Coach Federation, and I've been thinking to myself, how is it that in coaching, on average, we find ourselves in that 3 to 5 range? But when I think of how I was trained as a coach 10 years ago, when I think of all the books that I read 10 years ago, and when I think of how I was examined by the International Coach Federation as part of my accreditation, then to be blunt, the examination and the content has really all been at that supporting end of the spectrum. I've got a huge amount of respect for the International Coach Federation and their credentials, and I fly their flag very strongly, but I do think that we have this bias towards the supporting end of the spectrum that we've just shown. Now, Ian and I, if we did this exercise today, we'd like to think that on average we're in the 5 to 7 range. That's the work that we've done on ourselves as coaches in the last 3 years, and it's also the work that we're helping other coaches to do. Why have we made that shift? Well, 2 reasons for that. Firstly, our clients have asked us to do it. So when we ask our clients at the end of our coaching sessions, what did you value about our coaching? I hear time and time again, I love it when you challenge me. And when we ask them, what could we do to improve the coaching even more? They say, just challenge me more. Now, we've had a sneak preview of your own coaching evaluation, and you do some fantastic work, and some of the feedback that you're getting is brilliant in terms of the impact that you're having on all the people that you work with. There is a question in that evaluation about how could this be improved even more, and 2 of the 4 comments in that section, one of them is, perhaps my coach could be a little more forceful, and another is, increase the level of challenging problems. So we're hoping that our experience isn't unique and that you can relate to this call for challenge. And maybe the other reason why this topic is coming to the fore is that we live in a world now that is much more challenging than it was 10 years ago. The environment that we're all work in, whether it's in the public sector or the private sector, has become squeezed. Money is tight, the tension is rising, and when the tension is rising, difficult conversations need to be had, and knowing how to have difficult conversations respectfully but still get to the heart of the matter is the topic that we're really fascinated in exploring. So our central premise today is that we feel coaching does need to shift its stance and to be comfortable to be more challenging as and when it serves the needs of the stakeholders that are involved in the coaching conversation.